Hey YouTube, it's Mike Pan Gangster, and today let's talk a little bit about the previous video with the interaction with the people. At the same time, I want to talk a little bit about GTO. So, for people that have watched my latest video, this one right here, I basically said, are people cheating online? And I showed a hand. Now, I did get a lot of comments, and of course, I do appreciate a lot of these comments. I know some of them actually made me see things differently for sure. But also at the same time, I do have a few things to say, right? So, anyways, so I ended up getting a lot of commentary from people talking about the particular hand. At the end of the day, a lot of people didn't like the way I played the hand. No problem. Everybody has their own personal opinion how to play particular hands. Now, for people that didn't watch the video, I do recommend maybe watching it so you guys could get like a bit of an understanding of exactly what happened in the hand. But I do want to talk a little bit about also my reasoning behind it, and also why I believe that a lot of people that play GTO, or at least a lot of people that think that are playing GTO, are like very like, for me, brainwashed and playing in a certain way. Which it's not like you're playing in a particular bad way, but you're kind of brainwashed and kind of don't understand that GTO doesn't apply every single time you're playing, every single hand, every single tournament, based on the fact that whenever you're putting inputs in a solver, the responses that you're getting is based on the inputs that you're putting. That's not the way poker plays out, based on the amount of people and different type of players that are on the table. That's the way you would like for the game to be, because in what I'm saying by brainwash is that you believe that everybody's playing this perfect game, and it's basically interacting with your input that you're putting into your GTO solver that's creating these, like these percentages of you doing certain things. Okay, like for example, some of the comments didn't like the fact that I basically checked on the flop, which I completely understand. That if you're looking at my particular hand and you see Jack 10 and you see an open-ended straight draw, you will be like, well, like, why aren't you betting here on the flop on a three-way pot? Now, I have my particular reasons why I did it. I will explain everything. I do apologize. I'm also drinking my coffee. So let's just make this a little bit bigger. And let me explain the hand the way I saw it, okay? So first off, of course, I'm going to agree with the people like, yeah, most likely I was not being cheated, okay? I did kind of like maybe jump the gun when it came to like, I found the hand kind of suspicious. But after reading all the comments, I kind of understand why, for example, this particular guy makes the call. I don't agree with the call, but I do understand why some people are telling me why he makes the call. Okay, so we have that. We're on the same page with that. Now, let's look at the hand in my brain, the way I approach the hand, okay? So when the hand started, I opened the hand. Of course, the button, the guy that I was initially thought that I was being cheated by, calls, and of course, this particular opponent here and the button and the big blind ends up like squeezing, which a lot of people were wondering, like, why am I even calling a squeeze, or why am I even opening up with Jack 10? When you look at GTO solvers, for example, early position. Some people are saying that the only Jack 10s you're opening up are the ones that are suited. Okay, so I'm definitely not opening up with a GTO solver here. Like, I'm basically going with what I felt like opening up, and I felt like my Jack 10 offsuit was going to be an open for me, based on the fact that throughout this tournament, as you can see, my VIP was very low, 9%. I was completely card dead. I decided to play Jack 10 offsuit. I was deviating from like different charts and stuff like that, pre-flop charts. I wanted to like basically play some hands. I was kind of getting bored, to be quite honest, okay? So anyways, that's the particular reason why I ended up opening with the Jack 10. The other reason why I ended up calling the 3-bet raise, well, the squeeze play, by this particular opponent, I can't really see his name because it's GHKVP. I don't know what the fuck this guy's name is. You have to understand that for you guys who are only seeing this particular hand, I was on the table for at least a good hour, and this particular opponent was pretty much playing after hands. And if you would have saw some of the showdowns that this guy was coming up with, you would have been like, yeah, whatever. You're never folding to any of his three bets or squeeze plays because this guy is just basically clicking buttons, okay? So anyways, I ended up calling, and of course the ace five, whatever, the deal, the button ended up calling also. The flop came, we saw it, it was a 9-4 queen, I had it open-ended. Of course, the three better, whatever, the squeeze play guy ended up checking. I ended up deciding to check also. I wanted to see if I was being trapped by the button. That was my initial reason of like checking the flop. And I will explain a little something when you look at the what people are saying, like GTO pre-chops, flops, whatever. If you look at the hands that could be played, okay, you'll notice that every single hand that could be played are all the strong ones, pretty much, right? After basically being in early position, being squeezed. So this is why later on in the video I'm going to explain why I don't agree with this guy's particular call. Okay. Now the only reason, like I said, the reason why I ended up checking in this particular spot was because I wanted to see if I was being trapped by the button, because a lot of the times when there's some sort of like a squeeze play and I call and somebody else calls, most likely it has aces. That's one of the things that happens quite often, okay? Anyways, in this particular moment, we know that that's not the case. He ended up having ace five suited. So he ends up checking also. When the turn comes, of course, it's a six of clubs. It doesn't really help me, but when my opponent checks again, I decide to give it a 1/3 pot bet to try to basically represent maybe some sort of draw, or maybe even like a pocket pair or anything. I could also... Some people are saying that ace queen always bets the flop here. I don't particularly agree. And also, for example, all the pocket pairs that are under the queen, for example, jack stands, could easily check this board, this flop. So the fact that I got a check all around, I figured that maybe by betting, I could represent something. Now, of course, a lot of people in the comments said that I was representing a draw. Of course, that makes a lot of sense. A lot of people thought I was representing, well, a lot of people were saying that I was most likely representing a flush draw, okay? A straight draw and a flush draw. Now, this is why this gets kind of like fishy, because when I end up betting over here, the button ends up taking basically advantage of his position and ends up basically 3-betting me. Now, when he ends up 3-betting me, I ended up deciding to call anyways, a few reasons. Once, I still have it open-ended, so I'm still basically drawing to the nuts if I do get the 8 or the king. And the other thing is that it doesn't particularly mean that I know I'm not on the flush draw. It could also mean that my opponent is on the flush draw. So I figured that when he basically 3-bet me there with the 6 of clubs, I figured that most likely there's a possibility that he has some sort of ace suited clubs in his hands, okay? The river comes, of course, the other guy ends up folding. The river comes, it's a 9. So, based on the way I read the play, the way I got 3-bet by this particular opponent, I was first to talk. Of course, he was in position. I decided to shove for the particular reason why I believe that when he 3-bet me on the 6 of clubs, there was a good possibility that he had a flush draw. And in this case, he doesn't have the flush draw. He's got the ace 5 of spades, but this is what I was processing in my head, okay? The other thing is that if I would have slow played a set of 4s or even a set of queens or whatever the case may be, most likely I could have took the exact same line on the river and went all in. So I did have definitely some value hands shoving on that river. Now some people say, no, you're basically only representing a straight or a flush draw. So if I'm only representing a flush draw or a straight, how the hell is this guy calling me with ace 5? Because the only two particular draws that he's beating is jack 10 and king, king 10 or king jack. He's not beating any, he's only beating straight draws. He's not beating any of my flush draws, because all my flush draws would have been all ace I flush draws and would have most likely been a lot better than the ace 5 that he has. As you can see, his 5 doesn't even play in the hand because the 6 is higher. So he's only basically calling with the ace here because he's playing the board with the ace, because of course all my flush draws, ace 10, ace jack, ace king, ace 10, whatever the case may be, they're all beating him, right? Of course, I could also have ace queen of clubs. That is a possibility. Anything is possible here. The fact that people are like saying that these hands are not possible for me to have just because I ended up checking the flop, this is where I feel like people that play GTO are very brainwashed and only play what the robot tells them to do. Like, you're gonna tell me that on a flop with ace queen of clubs on the flop, you never check. You only bet 100% of the time. I don't personally agree with that. And if that's what GTO solver is saying for you to do, where are your trick plays? Where do you ever like approach the game and try to trick your opponent by checking the flop when you actually have another hand? You never do that. Basically, you basically always bet your strong hands all the time. It doesn't make sense to me. Again, I'm not saying that people that play GTO, they're playing the game wrong. I just feel like they're very like narrow-minded. They only think that their way is the right way to play the game, which it's not. There's a lot of different styles of playing the game. For example, I'm not someone that really approaches the game in a game theory type of game. I like to basically go with my own particular experience of like playing thousands of tournaments and noticing how people play at these stakes. For example, this was an $85 tournament. It's whatever, mid stakes. I kind of like played quite a few of these tournaments, a few thousands to be exact, but I kind of like go with what I've experienced throughout my career playing the game, right? So again, like, I'm not saying that GTO is the wrong way to play, but I'm also not saying that it's the only way to play the game. I like to play the game, and I like to basically, play the way I like to enjoy the game. The way I see the game, the way I approach the game could be very, very different than a lot of people, but some other people will also approach the game the way I do. And another thing I want to also say before ending this particular video, like, again, I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate the conversations with people that like to play poker. I like it because I like the fact that people comment on these particular moments because they basically have an interaction with you and explaining what they see. And that's, for me, that's very important because this is why the game of poker is so fun, because there's so many different ways of people approaching the game and seeing certain things that actually makes it like enjoyable to actually have like conversations with different people. I actually enjoyed the comments, even if most of the comments were against my play. I actually enjoyed reading the comments. I tried to reply pretty much to every single one of them because it does, you kind of get to see like what other people are thinking and stuff like that. And I learn myself also from like what other people think. But also at the same time, you guys have to understand that we don't all play the way you guys play, and that's just not the way the game works. And the other thing is that for people that were paying attention to the hand, for a particular Brazilian player, playing aggro or playing very aggressive or very loose is something very, very common with online play. From my understanding, the years I've played, like, Brazilians are very like, I'm sorry I have to use this word, but very maniacs on the table. So that could also be a reason why he ends up calling me with the ace-5 here, but also it could be because of what you guys were saying. But the other thing is that if I have a very low percentage of like hands played throughout an hour of play on a table, and you see me calling someone's squeeze play, how the hell you don't put me on a strong hand? How the hell you only look at the game and say, look, Mike is showing me that he has Jack 10. But if I wouldn't have showed you my Jack 10, you guys would have left comments and you probably would have said, like, if you had to guess what I had, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would have guessed I had, pocket pairs, very strong aces. I could have had the ace queen. I could have had a pocket. I could have had basically a boat. I could have basically slow played pocket fours. There's a lot of things that I could have had here, and you guys are just basically looking at the particular hand that I'm showing you, which of course you guys see the Jack 10. So you guys are basically commenting on the hand that I have when you're not basically taking in consideration that I can have so many hands. And for a particular opponent to make this particular call, I don't feel that it's a profitable call if you're making these type of calls, especially with an ace-5. If you're going to be calling with an ace, you got to be calling at least with one of the strong aces, because the fact that your 5 doesn't even play in the hand here, like, I don't know, man. I don't look at this like as a profitable call. You end up winning the hand, good for him. You know what I mean? But I don't personally think it's a very good move by him too. Again, people may say, Mike, your moves were very bad. And I completely agree with you guys. You may not like the way I played the hand, and that's okay. And that's why the hands could be played in many different ways. But, you know what I mean? At least I'm telling you my process throughout the hand, what I was thinking and why I did it. But you guys also have to, like, basically, think about how this guy made this call. And it is a little bit of a, of a shit call, to be honest. I think it's a pretty much of a shit call. That's what I think. But anyways, that's my personal opinion. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I'll probably end up making more, in the future of like, online poker videos and stuff like that. But I also have this channel based on gaming and stuff like that. So, be aware that there are going to be videos of like, games and stuff like that. But I will keep online poker videos because I do like the community of poker. I do love the game. It's one of my favorite, things to do in life. So the fact that the community is very like responding to comments and stuff like that, it's fun. It's I like the interaction with this. I like also thinking how you guys see certain things. So also it improves my game, and I get to see like how other people look at the game and stuff like that. Even if, for example, when I've been saying that I'm not too crazy about GTO, it's not like I don't apply any GTOs, like game theory stuff in my game, but I don't base myself only on that. I try to like basically deviate from like playing very robotic. I don't find that is very fun. I want to also like at the same time you want to be a good player and all that, but at the same time I also want to enjoy myself while I'm playing the game. So, anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. A little bit longer than I expected. I just basically wanted to like show you guys my point of view of the video and all that stuff. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this particular video. And like I said, we see each other in the future. So I wish you guys the best of luck on your tables, and hopefully everybody is winning a lot of money. Have a good day, guys. Bye bye.